Newly released documents have revealed that a prominent university has allowed conservative donors to influence their hiring decisions in exchange for financial donations. Now, these documents that have been released show donor agreements between the university and the Charles Koch Foundation. Now, this is the George Mason University in Virginia. Now, these documents detail the deals in which the foundation would set up an endowed professorship at the university and would retain the right to select 2 out of 5 members on the hiring committee for these positions. Now, this is according to documents that are that have been released by the Associated Press. Now, the foundation also had the right to appoint members to advisory boards and to recommend faculty firings. So, I wonder what kind of professors that they would end up trying to fire. I'm sure that you could probably think of something. Now, the university, of course, has pushed back on this. This is Angel Cabrera, who addressed the documents in a letter to faculty last week, said, the deals, quote, fall short of the standards of academic independence I expect any gift to meet. Now, she also said in the past that the university does not accept gifts if donors seek to decide hirings and firings, according to the AP, and told the outlet back in 2016 that the Koch donations do not affect the university's academic independence. Well, okay, so at first they were like, well, no, the academic independence, absolutely not. Now it's, well, they fall short of the standards of academic independence. Oops. Basically, what's happened is that they had their hand caught in the cookie jar. Taking these gigantic endowments from Koch Industries, from the Koch brothers, and their web of different organizations, and saying, okay, you can have control over who we hire and fire. Oh, well, that's fun. Now, here's the thing, right? So these documents seem to be a very clear indication that these so-called gifts and endowments were there only for one reason, to make sure that students basically get Koch-approved instructors. Now, why would they want to do that? I mean, it certainly couldn't be so they could indoctrinate students with pro-free market propaganda, would it? No. Only liberal professors do that. The projection here, of course, on the conservative side, when it comes to college and indoctrination, is just astounding. Now, how did the documents get released? Well, a former student had requested them through a Freedom of Information Act request. So this is somebody who had been to the college, had been a student, and was like, holy shit, man, this is conservative indoctrination. What the hell is going on here? You know what? I'm going to get some information. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to follow the money. Which, if you want to find out anything, if you want to find out why anybody is doing anything, well, you just have to go and follow the money. Now, the student, whose name is Samantha Parsons, works for an activist group called Uncoke My Campus, which is awesome. She told the Associated Press that the George Mason deals are similar to those the group had addressed at other universities, such as Florida State University back in 2008. Now, Florida State, in an original agreement that they had with the Koch brothers, the Koch brothers were there to push laissez-faire, free market ideology. Now, the college was had said, well, you know what, the standards in this agreement, I think they're a little too specific, so let's broaden them out. But don't worry, you'll still get to have some of your picks. Now, the AP reported Samantha to have said, quote, the faculty is supposed to have the independence to choose the best qualified candidate, but it's obvious, thanks to these deals, that they were not doing that, and they were doing that, what they were doing is they were choosing people that had a specific sort of ideology. Now, the foundation also said in a statement that the agreements, however, are old and inactive, and that newer donation deals do not have the same provisions. The group also released documents revealing new details about the university's decision to rename its law school after Supreme Court Justice Antonin Scalia. Now, the naming of the school had been connected to a $10 million donation from the Koch Foundation. So even though they're saying, oh no, these are old and inactive, well, there's also proof that thanks to this donation, we named it after Antonin Scalia, an incredibly right-wing judge. So I imagine conservatives, I wonder how they would feel if there was a college that decided to, after a donation from George Soros, to name a new facility the Ruth Bader Ginsburg Wing or building. No, I'm sure they wouldn't have any problem with that, right? Now, look, when you look at the deals like this, you begin to understand why federal and state funding has begun disappearing or had been disappearing from these universities over the last 20, 30 years. This isn't new. First, the donors, of course, pay off politicians to pull public funding from these colleges and universities. So with that extra funding gone, well, you have private foundations and corporations that step in to basically fill the gap when it comes to funding. So they come in and they say, oh, we've got enormous endowments. However, they happen to come with a little bit of a price. And of course, what they're trying to do is basically trying to use these colleges to propagandize for conservative free market ideology. Now, they do that because they think colleges are propagandizing for liberal causes. That, of course, is not true. Facts aren't inherently liberal or conservative. It's just that a certain group of people tends to believe in facts more than others. And that has nothing to do with the actual ideology. But anyway, now, what is acceptable in today's classroom, and this is from somebody who had economics classes, is modern laissez-faire capitalism. So, look, I never learned about any other forms of economics while I was in school. So, excuse me if I don't buy the idea that liberal ideology gets shoved down your throat. We're not sitting there reading books on socialism and Karl Marx. Yes, he might be, or Keynesian ideology, for example, or Keynesian economics and Marxism might be referenced in a textbook, but it's usually referenced in a negative light in a lot of these college economics textbooks. So just consider that. But here's the thing, right? Colleges are there to teach facts, and they're there to teach critical thinking and problem solving. And yes, there are a lot of people that go to college and end up becoming liberal. I happen to think that that's less to do with the teaching and more about their exposure to newer people, experiences, and ideas. That tends to open you up when you actually encounter people who think a little bit differently than you. And of course, not everybody becomes a liberal when you go into college as well. There are a lot of conservatives that are in college. Those are the ones that bring Ben Shapiro onto a campus, which then annoyingly gets protested. Don't protest Ben Shapiro. You know what you do? You let Ben Shapiro speak, and then you go do something else while he's talking to 5 people. That's it. That's it. You don't need to protest. You don't need to do any of that stuff. Just, go somewhere else. Do something else, or actually book somebody who's way more popular. And then, of course, you get into the, problems of some of these boards that will not allow certain people to speak if they're progressive. For example, Anna Gasparian. She got denied a college appearance because she's too liberal, apparently. So this whole bullshit about, colleges trying to silence conservative voices, ridiculous, right? But anyway, look, there's that lie about liberal propaganda being shoved down people's throats when it comes to college. In reality, it's conservatives and conservative groups that are projecting while they're doing essentially the same thing to try to promote more quote-unquote free market ideals. In reality, that means low taxes for them and less regulation on their business. That helps make them tons and tons of money. Again, it goes back to follow the money. You have to follow the money. This is not philanthropic, which, again, a lot of people will point to the Koch brothers and how they love to give money to, you know, philanthropic causes. Oh, it's medicine and, you know, all that stuff and art. Well, those are gigantic tax write-offs. But this is where they make sure that the next generation is more receptive to their free market ideology that ends up making them more money. Because in the end, that's all what this is about. This is all about making sure that the Koch brothers make more money. Hey everybody, thanks for watching this video. If you want to see more like this, please hit the subscribe button below. And if you want to support truly independent progressive media, please consider becoming a patron at patreon.com/TYTNation.